So in the final actually video that we're going to do in preparation for our MND fundraiser event on the 26th of January, I'm joined today by Jess Lee, who's the research director at the My Name's Doddy Foundation. Jess, good to see you. How are you?
Hello, very well, thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Not at all, not at all. I guess we can't really go anywhere until we reflect on the sad news that obviously Doddy passed in November. Just like to get your sort of personal reflections on that, and I guess also the sort of reflections of the foundation.
Yeah, so obviously we were deeply saddened by the news at the foundation. One thing I would say is that it's been really heartening to see the national outpouring of love for Doddy. He shows what an inspirational guy he's been in his rugby career, his personal life, but also the impact that he's had on MND research has been amazing. So whilst we're deeply saddened, we're continuing to push on harder than ever to achieve his and our vision of a world free of MND. So, you know, the journey doesn't stop here, and I think we're all now pushing harder than ever to try and make that vision a reality.
Absolutely. I watched the memorial service live, and I was watching the tickers going up. There's thousands and thousands and thousands of people tuning in. And it was really touching, actually. And when you think of, there's a guy called John Jeffrey, who some of my generation will know as probably one of the hardest rugby players in the world. When you see that boy, you know, in bits, then you realise the impact that Doddy had on everybody. What's reassuring, I guess, is to hear is that the work continues, and even though he has passed, the work carries on, which is really important news, I think, for everybody. Perhaps you could tell us a little bit about your role at the foundation, because you, in my mind at least, play quite a critical role in what goes on, what goes forward from now in terms of how the research is conducted.
Yeah, so I am the Director of Research at the Foundation. So I'm responsible for driving forward our research programme to support our vision of a world free of MND. So research is obviously at the heart of everything that we do at the Foundation. And in just 5 years since we were established, we've already committed almost £8 million to MND research. So this includes drug discovery projects, clinical trials, as well as research to better understand MND and what might cause it. So we're now at an exciting phase, I guess, in the growth of the charity, where we are developing our first research strategy. So this is a process we're going through at the moment, working with almost 100 people from the MND community to identify research priorities. So what areas of research matter most to people in the community, and which areas of research should we fund if we want to reach our vision of a world free of MND. So we're going through this process at the moment. We'll be launching the new strategy in springtime this year, and really kind of driving on from there, building on our research portfolio, and yeah, working towards that vision that Doddy had sat around the table 5 years ago when he established the foundation.
And just in terms of that vision, what's your sort of assessment of where we are right now?
So I think we're at a really exciting place in MND research. So over the past 10 to 15 years, our understanding of the biology underpinning the disease has increased massively. So if you asked a leading clinician just 15 or 20 years ago whether they thought a cure for MND would be possible, they would have said no. But if you ask them now, that answer has very much changed. So the feeling is that effective treatments for MND are definitely on the horizon. There's a lot more work that we need to do to get us there, but that's what we want to do now, is accelerate that journey to effective treatments and ultimately a cure for MND.
That's great to hear, I'm sure, for everybody involved, but also for people who are attending our lunch on the 26th to know that actually genuine progress is being made. I guess a question for me is, you know, there are lots of organisations in this space, lots of organisations raising money, lots of organisations conducting research. How do you how are all those efforts being consolidated into one concerted way forward?
Yeah, so even just in the 5 years since the foundation is established, we've brought researchers together to collaborate in a way that they haven't previously, as well as many other different initiatives. And now the research community in particular are collaborating more closely than they ever have. So there's now a national vision for an MND research institute. That the academic researchers are working together with industry and patients to drive that forward, all to accelerate medicines discovery efforts in motor neuron disease. So that's, you know, the research community. And then in addition, as funders of research, we have a huge role to play in making sure that we're all talking to each other, we're aligning our research strategies, we're building on each other's progress rather than duplicating. So we have very strong links with other charities and other funders in the UK and beyond to make sure that we're not duplicating that work.
Great. So I guess given everything that we've sort of spoken about in this session, what do you see as being the next kind of key development in the research journey, which we know is still going to take a wee while, eh?
Yeah, so we've seen a huge amount of progress recently in treating small populations of people with MND. So around 2 to 3% of people with MND have a mutation in a gene called SOD1. And we now have a treatment that we think could effectively slow and maybe even stop progression of the disease in those people. So obviously that's a huge step forward, but what we now need is treatments for all people with MND. So what a huge step forward would be identifying a universal target for a new treatment that could actually support and help all people with MND. And I think that will be one of the next big breakthroughs in this area.
Wow. Okay. You're joining us on the 26th of January at Twickenham, which I'm very much looking forward to meeting you in person. There's around 200 people in the room who have an influence over thousands, I'm sure. What will be your message to those people attending?
Well, first of all, have a great time. Enjoy a nice glass of wine and a lovely meal. I've seen the menu, it looks great. And I guess secondly is just a big thank you for coming along. You know, the foundation can only exist with the efforts and the support of people and communities like this. So yeah, thank you for everything that you're doing to support the foundation. And I guess by being there and by supporting us, you're helping us to fulfill Doddy's legacy. So Doddy's greatest wish was that one day nobody would ever have to face what he has gone through ever again. So by supporting us, you're helping us to achieve that goal. So just thank you.
Jess, perfect. Thank you ever so much. Good to see you, and I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much.